Hi, I'm Euan.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is
Popcorn and Cumin, a transatlantic dive into film and media.
With a healthy side of unrelated nonsense.
Popcorn and Cumin is turning 21 episodes old.
Woo! Now we can drink legally.
Yeah.
On one side of the Atlantic, finally. But on the other side, we've been drinking for years and years. More than 3. About 6 years, probably.
There's your UK-US difference. The drinking age.
Oh, yeah. Bonus difference.
But so today we are going to be talking about, drumroll please,
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Everyone's favorite Star Wars movie. Yay!
Yippee! As Anakin and his pals say. And Jar Jar. So before we get into that, first we wanted to let you guys know that this will be our final episode of Season 1. So we are taking a summer vacation, as people in the UK love to do. They love their long summer holidays. All Europeans, really, not just the UK.
Yeah, so another difference in the US, you don't believe in time off work.
Yeah,
so.
Which is very unfortunate.
As soon as you turn 21, legally an adult, you can buy alcohol, and then you just work every day until you die.
Yes, exactly. Whereas in the UK, nobody works during the summer. Even when they're working, I feel like they're not really working. You
know, in France, I'm pretty sure they just take all of July off, because really? June is when their financial years end in businesses. Not the financial year, but when you have to approve the previous year's financial end. I feel like everyone's so burnt out after that. They're just I'm taking the month off.
Christmas in July.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. We've already given you a few differences, but now we're going to officially move on to our cross-border factoids differences. Sarah, I am from the United States of America. And Euan over here.
I'm from the Galactic Republic of Scotland.
Yes. So each of us every week comes up with a difference between the US and the UK, and one day maybe we'll run out, but we haven't yet. But I'm going to harken back to my difference from last week, which is that the marshmallows in the UK suck. Sorry. Are less good than the marshmallows in the US. And under Popcorn and Cumin's account, we went slightly viral. I don't know what it means to go viral, but we have 35k views on this video that I made of me basically picking out the little pink marshmallows and throwing them in the trash. And people did not like this. And I've been receiving hate.
The thing is, people don't know the lengths we go to save food. I'm always, getting stuff that's about to expire, then eating it. I'm doing my bit to cut down on food waste. So Sarah, we use the app Too Good To Go to save waste from restaurants. You should use that if you're interested.
Well, so some of the comments were saying, many of the comments were this is so wasteful. Mm-hmm. And these marshmallows were over a year old, were stale, and I was going to throw them in the trash anyway.
Mm-hmm. And it's I feel like the implication was they're saying a waste of food and that wasting food is bad and that's irresponsible and stuff. And it's just, marshmallows are not a sustainable food source that is going to keep anyone alive. No one is worse off from us getting rid of those marshmallows. And I made the comparison, it's so no one's allowed to have fun regarding food ever again, ever. It's like people when they put Mentos in Coke and then it shoots off like a rocket. That's banned now. You can't do that because it's a waste of Coke and mints.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do not approve of food waste, but you cannot tell me that you have never let food go bad. I mean, come on, we've all had wilted spinach in our fridge that we had to throw out. These marshmallows were stale.
Well, the people in the TikTok comments, they're eating that spinach, Sarah. And then they're getting food poisoning.
Sick. Yeah. So we got a lot of
Grow
hate.
up, everyone.
Yeah.
Grow up out there.
The other comment that we're getting a lot is that the white marshmallows and the pink marshmallows are exactly the same. But the way people say it is just, it's so mean. Yeah. I don't know. Why would you feel the need to be so mean? And the point is more that that UK marshmallows taste fruity and different, and in my opinion, less good than US marshmallows that are more like vanilla-y versus kind of like how they're more fruity and chalky over here. And I said in last week's episode, I said maybe there's not even a difference between the pink and the white ones, but they all just taste bad. So commenters, go listen to that.
Yeah, but then we went into the rabbit hole with that because I think there probably are like strawberry or like fruit flavored marshmallows. In fact, there definitely are. Whether or not these ones specifically are meant to be fruit flavored, I'm not sure. But they do definitely have like food coloring in them to make them turn pink.
Yeah.
And then there's I was reading this stuff about how some people think that there is a latent taste in food coloring that can and it sticks out to people more. And then there's a psychology of food where based on how food looks can sort of distort how you taste it. So if you expect to eat something that's pink or eating something pink, you might expect it to taste differently, and that's sort of informing your brain. So
well, and it's like how, some people don't like brown M&Ms or something, even though they all are the same. None of them are flavored differently. But it's just like, I don't like the pink ones because they represent the UK.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to like melt a Mars bar or something, it might turn into a sort of shape that looks not very appealing, and then you maybe wouldn't want to eat it, even though it's just a Mars bar that's been melted.
Yeah. So take that, commenters. I hope you're listening.
Yeah.
And choose better fights than ones about stale marshmallows.
Yeah. You losers.
Okay, don't call them losers if they're listening.
So my difference, even though I already said a couple at the start.
And go watch that video and comment.
Yeah, you have to like,
team.
say, and also I commented because I comment on all of our videos just to get like a little bit of extra engagement. And I commented being like, I like the pink marshmallows as a joke, and now people think I'm on their side.
Yeah, and he got like 100 likes.
Yeah,
I
want to comment being like, guys, stop liking this comment. I don't like any of you. I'm not on your side. I was just joking.
You should respond and say I was joking. The pink ones suck.
You've been conned into me. I've left a leading comment, and you've all started liking it, even though I'm on the other team's side. You fools. So my difference, Sarah, even though I've already done a couple, is that in the US, there's a thing called the right to bear arms, right?
Oh boy.
And in the UK, we don't have that because we don't have any bears. And we would have said, even if we did have bears, we'd be like, bears don't have arms, they have 4 legs.
Wow.
I thought of that earlier today, and I was like, I've got to use it. So
that's definitely a joke in a TV show.
No, that's a Euan original. That's like how you came up with the plot of Avatar and Get Out.
No, that is actually true.
Well, what do you mean this is not actually true?
Oh, you mean you independently
came up with it? I came up with the same idea. It's like the person who invented the wheel. But probably loads of other people invented the wheel.
So here, if you find a bear arm on the ground, it's not yours because you don't have the
no rights
to
it. Probably the Queen's got it. She's probably got it.
That's true. The
Queen
has the right
dearly departed Queen.
Bear arms.
Yeah.
Oh, guess now the King.
Yeah.
He's got the right to all the swans on the Thames and all the bear arms.
Yeah. Bear arms and swan hands. Yeah.
All right. I thought your difference had to do with Star Wars.
No. I just said it was a joke.
That was my understanding.
Oh, you understood wrong.
All right. Well, now that we've gotten through that, shall we talk about Star Wars?
Yeah.
The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Now we're hoping that over time we'll sort of go through and cover all of the Star Wars at some point or another. So you got to stay tuned for that, but it's not all going to be right in a row. So you got to wait for them.
Yeah, and obviously we're kind of, producing these podcasts to stand the test of time. So in the season 1 break, while we get our well-earned rest from recording and providing all this amazing entertainment to all of our listeners.
For free.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you might be paying Spotify, I guess.
Yeah.
But don't
pay Spotify. Pay us at least what you're paying Spotify.
Yeah. We'll send you these personally if you pay us.
Yeah. So you can go back and listen to maybe podcasts. Maybe since in the past week you've seen the movie The Fall Guy or Challengers. Or in the run-up to Halloween, you're like, oh, what did Popcorn and Cumin say about the movie Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed? Feel free to, and we encourage you to go back through our vast archives of podcasts and continue to engage with the podcast while we're in the break. But yeah, we're going to maybe sort of try and lace in every now and again a sort of tentpole movie that a lot of people have seen, just so people can get excited about it. And we did that with Twilight to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twilight, well, Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Hallmarks in
Harry
cinema.
Potter.
Yeah, but that was more of like a themed
That's
episode.
true,
but
that's true.
Yeah.
So what is tentpole? Because I've heard that phrase before.
I think it means something that
No.
like supports something.
So
It's
tentpole cinema is like...
Barbie and Oppenheimer. That's the tentpole recently. And now Inside Out 2.
Like it's holding up the movie industry, or it's like
Yeah.
original stuff that created a foundation.
Yeah, well, I've maybe used it in a kind of like loose sense because what I was trying to say is it's like something that like a lot of people have already seen before and already have like some sort of connection. So they'll see that and be like, you know, I've seen Star Wars Episode 1 and I love it. Or maybe more likely, I didn't think it was that good. So how I wanted to start was just like, obviously I know my own connection with Star Wars, but I was interested as to you, like, did you grow up watching Star Wars, or are you a latecomer to Star Wars? Did you watch them chronologically in terms of the Star Wars timeline, or in the order they were released? Or
I think I'm more of a latecomer than other people. I didn't really grow up watching them, but when I was like an old child, I watched them. So I think I was probably maybe 9 to 11, and I saw them at my friend's house, and she had all 6 at the time, because there were 6 at the time. And my family, like, my parents didn't really... I don't know if my mom had even seen Star Wars.
Yeah.
And my dad was like a Star Trek person.
a Trekkie, as they're known.
Yeah, maybe not. He wasn't like a...
Also known as a
intense
nerd.
fan. But he wasn't like a big Star Trek fan, but he was more of a Star Trek. He had seen more Star Trek than Star Wars. So nobody told me how to watch them, so I just stuck the one labeled 1 in, which was Phantom Menace. So I watched them for the first time
Okay.
in not the correct order.
Now your dad is a Star Wars fan, but I feel like I've
Yeah.
remembered you saying that he's like a latecomer to it, so I wondered if that
Yeah.
was like corresponding to your own experience of it.
Yeah, he got really into it when he got really into Clone Wars, which I feel like it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. That's interesting. Fair enough.
Yeah, he'll probably listen to this one day.
So on my hand, my dad famously, or maybe infamously, has never seen Star Wars, so I had
Still?
so I have like no familial connection to it. But I think when Episode 3 came out, I would have been about 6, and like the promotional materials, loads of like TV spots and stuff. And I remember they like released some sort of like making of Episode 3 stuff with like a paper in the UK, and I was like watching them, and then like a newspaper. They gave you like a promotional disc or whatever that was behind the scenes of Episode 3. And for some reason I started like watching it, and I feel like I got like a little like lightsaber in like a cereal box or something.
It's cute.
Yeah, so, and then some of my friends, I think like their dads had been into Star Wars, so they were like more into it, and then we sort of became like into it. But I think...
Not their moms.
I'm not sure, maybe, I don't know. I know, to be honest, I'm thinking of like one person in particular, and their dad is a Star Wars fan, so maybe he was the real influence on everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe no one else's dads liked it at all, like mine. And then, so then I think I bought the original trilogy, or I say I bought it, probably with my like 10 pence that I had in my piggy bank as like a 7-year-old. I got the trilogy, the original trilogy on like VHS, which are the special editions, which I think they came out right before Episode 1 was released to kind of like generate hype, and that's when George Lucas started meddling with them and inserting all this extra stuff that people don't like. So those are the versions I saw originally. And yeah, I never saw the prequels like in cinema or whatever. I think I don't really remember the first time I would have seen them.
When did Revenge of the Sith come out?
2005.
Because I'm trying to remember if I saw that in cinema.
Phantom Menace was 1999 and Attack of the Clones was 2002, I think. So it was like 3 years apart for each one.
Because I do remember seeing it with my mom,
right,
because she thought that Anakin's long curly hair was attractive.
Well, I could see that.
I guess. But anyway.
One of your friends is really into Hayden Christensen, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think he's very attractive in that. But
yeah,
it's
you must
weird
stay steady on
it's
there.
weird for my mom to say that, though.
Nah, Sheila, if you're listening, which I'm sure you are, I think that's okay. Your dad has curly hair.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what she was going for.
Very similar in a lot of ways. Do you think he's on the dark side now?
Well,
he's a fallen hero.
He is a firm believer in there being balance in the Force, not there being more good than evil. So.
Yeah. Well, 2 Sith, 2 Jedi, that's not balanced.
Everyone, there is a parody. It's not actually a musical. There's a parody kind of musical thing that Star Kid, we've talked about them before, does about Star Wars. It's called Annie. And overall, it's not their best musical, but there is one scene that is just hilarious.
It's where Obi-Wan goes into a bar on Tatooine and gets drunk. It's very funny.
Just search Annie the musical Obi-Wan bar scene, and you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, no, it is very funny. Yeah, just to sort of go full circle, I don't really have that much of a connection to the prequels. If anything, I have much more of a connection to the original trilogy, which is weird considering my age. But yeah, I think I don't know, maybe I was discolored by the press at the time where I was kind of dismissive of the prequels as not being that good. I do stand by that I don't think the prequels are as good compared to the original trilogy at all.
Yeah.
So, but I know that the prequels have kind of had a sort of reappraisal because the people who were kids when they were being released have grown up and they're now kind of dominating the discourse.
That's
and they're
me. Yeah. I don't know. I really like watching them, but it's kind of in the same way that I really like watching Twilight. Just so much of the dialogue is so cringy, so many things. I mean, to be honest, anytime Jar Jar's on screen, I do not like that. That just pisses me off. But I feel like it goes into that so bad it's good territory. And there is some stuff that is actually good. And I think there's a lot of really cool lightsaber scenes. Euan and I firmly disagree about this, but in the original trilogy, the lightsaber battles are so lame. They're moving so slowly. I think because Obi-Wan, it's Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, and Obi-Wan is the actor who plays him is 1 billion years old.
And Darth Vader is in a fucking massive suit and probably can't really move.
So they're so stiffly just and they're so bad. But then in this one, I mean,
that performance was Oscar nominated, the only ever acting nomination from a Star Wars movie, that Obi-Wan, and that fight scene was part of it, yeah.
Well, but he probably wasn't given it for that fight scene.
No. He didn't win, maybe that's what the difference was. If he did a flip, then he would have won.
Yeah. To a flip. Yeah, I mean, there are times later in the prequel
trilogy,
when, yes, Yoda does some excessive flipping, but I think with Obi-Wan, Darth Maul, and Qui-Gon, I think it looks really cool. I don't know. I like, because it's kind of, it adds more sort of martial arts vibes to it. There's more kicking and stuff as well.
Loads of flipping in martial arts.
No, but the way that they do it is like in a martial arts movie, how they would move and because in those movies, they also do excessive flips.
Yeah, behind the scenes thing that I was just talking about, that was one of the things I remember, them talking about the choreography of the fight scenes and stuff. So I don't really I do agree that there's a lot more, they're a lot more impressive, and the fight scene you're talking about in New Hope between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan is not very good. But the one between Luke and Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi, I think is better, and they have a brief one in Empire Strikes Back. I'm not saying it's better than the ones in the prequels, but there's more there's emotion behind them, because, and I don't think for the fight scene to be good, it has to be super flashy and everything. Part of my issue that I feel a lot of the time, it doesn't really look like an actual fight in Star Wars. It's just people moving their lightsabers in a way for it to look cool. Yeah. The only way these two people would be clashing in this way is if they both know what the other person's going to do. It's being choreographed, not in a way that it looks like both combatants are trying to kill each other at all times.
But they do have the Force, so they probably do know what the other one is going to do.
Yeah. But this is the thing with... So this is one of the problems, I think, with this movie and just with Star Wars in general, is the way the Force works is completely the Force, the Jedis never seem to use the Force in lightsaber battles, and apparently in the Star Wars lore, that's because there's a understanding that both sides are in control of the Force, so you can't use it on each other. But then there's instances when people do use the Force in battles, and you're like, what the hell? That's how Obi-Wan at the end ends up in that hole, is because Darth Maul does some Force stuff on him.
Wait, he ends up in the hole?
Yeah, when he's hanging on.
Oh, Obi-Wan. Yeah.
And then it seems like it's implied that he does some Force stuff back to Darth Maul to flip himself up over his head and not just get cut in half as he's doing that. So
I have trivia about that. Should I say it now?
Sure.
Okay.
We might not have a better segue.
So those who don't know where we are in the movie,
We're right at the end.
We're right at the end. Qui-Gon has just been stabbed through the tummy by Darth Maul.
Stabbed through the heart, and he's to blame.
You give love a bad name?
Yeah.
Oh. And then Obi-Wan is all rageful, and he is fighting Darth
Sarah was
Maul.
like, wow, angry Obi-Wan is hot, apart from his rat tail.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I love Ewan McGregor in the next two. But in this one, the rat tail with the, like, bare baby face just, I don't know, wasn't great. Until he got angry. And so then they're fighting, Darth Maul and Obi-Wan. And then, yeah, somehow Obi-Wan falls into this... There's always a freaking pit in Star Wars. And he's hanging on for dear life. And then he does a flip over Darth Maul while force Accio-ing his lightsaber. And then
I think it's Qui-Gon's lightsaber, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because his lightsaber was kicked down the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Needs Ollivander to make him a new one. So then he cuts him, slices him in half. Bye-bye. So... him, like, flipping over Darth Maul. Because do you remember you were like, oh, well, why didn't Darth Maul just, like, cut him in half or whatever?
Yeah, he's just watching it happen.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, maybe he wasn't expecting it or something. But this ties into the third movie, Revenge of the Sith.
The high ground.
The high ground! So, apparently, it is canon that after hearing about the Qui-Gon dying, being killed by Darth Maul, and hearing about this lightsaber fight... Anakin becomes, like, obsessed with this fight between Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul. And he, like, asks Obi-Wan to, like, say exactly what happened. And he, like, studies it. And he even, like, recreates it. I don't know. He's weirdly obsessed with it.
So he goes to do Obi-Wan's move. That's the, like, idea.
Yeah. Okay. So, but Obi-Wan, now we're in Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting in the lava. And it's the famous line where Obi-Wan says, "It's over, Anakin, I have the high ground." Because he can see what Anakin is about to do, because he knows that Anakin is obsessed with this fight between him and Darth Maul. So he knows what he's about to try, which is why he so easily just, like, chops him in half. But Anakin is, like, he wants... Well,
it's his ego.
It is. It's his ego. He wants to, like,
I'm gonna do a better
over
flip.
him. Yeah. So he's like, I'm just going to do it anyway. And he does it and gets sliced in half and then dies in the volcano.
Well, he doesn't die.
Well, okay, yeah. He doesn't die.
I have to say, like, that I've always found that line in Revenge of the Sith, like, very confusing. Because I've always, like, why is it over if he has the high ground? That totally doesn't even make sense for this own trilogy of movies, because Obi-Wan was in a worse situation in episode 1 and he got out of it. So.
I don't know, the high ground thing doesn't really make sense, but I think he is trying to say, like, basically he's like, don't try it.
Yeah, he does say don't try it to him.
I think he does say
that
don't
moment?
try it, yeah.
Huh. Well, that's cool. I mean, it's one of those, I feel like Star Wars is very guilty for this, where there seems to be a lot of added stuff, the lore, whatever, and people say it to you and like, oh, that actually is cool. I wish they kind of made me know that in the movie, that I wouldn't be so confused.
But then it's more like Easter eggs, you know?
Yeah. What about Palpatine coming back in the sequel trilogy? I wish I knew how that actually happened. Somehow Palpatine returned.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
But going back to the Force thing you were talking about, how it doesn't make sense. Here's my thoughts on that. I'm not like a huge Star Wars nerd or anything, but generally in fantasy, there's kind of two general ways you can go about.
There's two schools of thought.
You can go about your magic system. This is very general, but like there's the sort of hand waving. I think it's called hand waving, where you're just like, oh, it's just magic. It just works. You don't need to ask very many questions. Like, it's fine. It's just magic, okay? And then there's the opposite, which is a really rule-based magic system where like everything makes sense and it follows a specific set of rules and you can't break those rules, and it's like, well, the magic system is well explained. I think maybe the problem here is that the original trilogy was more of the kind of hand waving, like, oh, it's fine, the Force is just, it's kind of like magic, it's kind of spooky, ooky. If you're not a Jedi, you don't really know how it works. Which I think was fine. Yep. But then in the prequel trilogy, then they kind of try to add in like rules and make the Force more scientific with the midichlorians and all that crap.
The midichlorians is like one of the stupidest things like ever.
Yeah.
It's like so totally creatively misjudged. I just don't know what they're thinking, because it's like the Force, because it's such like a simplistic name to be like, oh, use the Force or whatever. I feel like the idea is you don't have a good understanding of what it is, and
yeah, you
kind
just
of
feel it.
Religious or spiritual connections.
The Force is all around.
Yeah, and anyone, if you like train, can use it, but then they're like, oh no, actually it's to do with you're predisposed based on your genetics on how well you can attune to it based on some made up mumbo jumbo bacteria that exists in your bloodstream.
Yeah, the midichlorians, which are in every single cell and sound a lot like mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell.
I think that's a good analysis in terms of the hand waving to the trying to break it down, because I feel like the hand waving stuff works, but the rules, it's more sort of show don't tell rules that you would think would come up, which is why in later Star Wars I kind of have a problem when they start introducing all these random Force powers that would have totally solved loads of predicaments earlier in the series, and then are like in the Rise of Skywalker, and it's like, oh, Rey can just heal people now, and I wish Obi-Wan was able to heal Qui-Gon at the end of this movie. That would have been useful.
Yeah, some of the stuff in The Force Awakens I think is creative and cool more in terms of lightsaber fights than where they do a lot more like shutting off the lightsaber and then like turning it on, and I think that, like, why wouldn't people do that? I think that, I think it's cool.
I mean, if there's some sort of explanation that like Rey had, I don't know, totally done some sort of study, maybe this is explained not in the movie, where she learned how to Force heal, and there's some sort of like...
Isn't she not really trained at all?
Well, a bit by Luke.
Yeah, and, well, now we're kind of going all over the place, but what's that?
Palpatine.
Why can I never remember?
Palpy?
No, Adam Driver.
Oh, Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren.
Ben Solo.
Yeah. To be fair, that name doesn't fit him at all. He does a lot of like torture using the Force, which we also don't see. You know, where he like, listeners, you can't see me, but I'm putting my hand up to Euan's head and using the Force on his brain. And then it's like supposed to be like, and then Rey is like, oh, that hurts so much. But you're like, what's he doing?
Yeah, I mean, that's an example of them introducing something new, but I don't think that's like quite as egregious, just because it's...
That couldn't have solved.
Yeah, or it's like, oh, well, we haven't seen that so far yet, but there was no reason to have seen that, you know? Or maybe that was happening, we just didn't see it. The Force healing thing is just such a like omission that if you retroactively apply it to the previous movies, you're like, well, could have solved a lot of problems, but... Yeah.
It's interesting in The Phantom Menace how the Force doesn't work on the waspy guy. Watto.
Yeah. Annie!
Yeah. He's like, your Jedi tricks don't work on me, only money works on me. I'm like, well, that's like convenient for this plot, I guess.
Yeah, that's totally like ridiculous, like writing, I think. He's a Troidarian, I think that the race is called. They should have come up with some sort of other reason, even if it was in The Boys or in Spider-Man 2, where Qui-Gon's Force powers just aren't working the same way because he's down on his luck or something.
Yeah, he's like a therapist to get it working again.
Yeah.
But he's a hippie. He's too like in tune with, that wouldn't be believable.
Yeah. Okay, so the Phantom Menace, right? Sarah, what I'm curious is, what do you think the story was?
Well, this is what... First of all, it's a bad premise. It's a boring premise. For the original trilogy, the start where like you read the thing.
The opening crawl.
The opening crawl. And it'll be like, oh, the evil empire has taken over and now the rebel fighters have to like get the plans to fight back. And then in this it was just like, the trade facility has set up a blockade of the planet Polo. And I was like, this is... who thought this was an interesting like premise?
Yeah, this is the problem, and I think as a kid, whenever I saw this, I just wasn't.
I didn't know it was.
I didn't know what was like happening.
Yeah, I was like, what's a fucking trade federation?
Yeah, so the Trade Federation forms a blockade around Naboo.
Boring.
To like stop them getting imports of goods, and then that's the first step before they do a full-on invasion of Naboo. I'm still not really sure why they want to do that, or like what their justification is meant to be, because then they try to extort the Queen into signing a treaty that would make their invasion legal, and I'm like, I'm not sure if anyone... Naboo is part of like the Galactic Republic or whatever. No one's going to be like, I feel like a treaty signed under duress like this wouldn't be legally valid, but I don't know, maybe they haven't thought of that.
But so isn't the whole point... Because this is another thing I think is just kind of silly, is that it's like Palpatine, this whole prequel trilogy is Palpatine like waging a war on himself. But the point is then to get the Queen Amidala to do a vote of no confidence, right? So then he can become emperor and gain power.
Yeah, and Palpatine is the Chancellor of Naboo, so probably he has better he has better connections with Naboo, so it's like easier to plan it around his home planet or whatever. And yeah, I guess he's already somewhat in control of the Trade Federation, but he needs like the hard power of being in control of the Republic to then force the Jedi to eventually become engaged in this like galactic war, which then weakens the Jedi and everything. So I mean, we'll learn that as we go on. But
so the whole point is to weaken the Jedi, because then is the end goal Order 66 or whatever, or the end goal is just get as much power as possible? I
don't know if he has that like idea to begin with, but I think that's part of the like. I mean, to be fair, when in Episode 3, when like 4 Jedi go to arrest Palpatine, he kills 3 of them in about 10 seconds, so they don't even do anything. But I feel like the idea would be like Palpatine wouldn't be able to, once he reveals himself, he wouldn't be able to fight all of those Jedi, as much as they do suck and are completely useless. But so he has to kind of do all this political scheming to kind of even the scales somewhat.
And the point of the war, is it basically to put the Empire in like a state of emergency, so they'll give him like unprecedented power?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting parallels to a lot of real political situations where you have these situations that create populist figures that then people are like, this guy, he's so loud and boisterous, he'll solve all of our problems.
Yeah.
But in reality, they just want to build a giant space station that can blow up a planet.
Yeah.
And they can shoot lightning out of their hands.
In some ways, like, I kind of like that idea. But I just feel like the whole, like, when, I don't think these movies are actually very kid-friendly. Like, I didn't know at all what was going on politically.
I think they're meant to be like an allegory for like, George Lucas's own sort of liberal politics and how he felt about the invasion of like Iraq and stuff, and like US foreign policy under like the 2 Bush administrations. And I suppose
that was interesting.
Yeah. The politicking stuff, I mean, some people probably don't care much for like political dramas, and obviously this is not super in depth or anything, but when they go to Coruscant and they have the big room with all the chancellors and stuff, I mean, it is kind of ridiculous, but the idea of Palpatine saying, oh, the current Supreme Chancellor is corrupt and he's trying to satisfy all of these corporations and whatever, that's where his interests lie, and that's why we need to create change to overcome this corruption, and I'm the one to do it. I mean, he doesn't say that, but that is what the dominoes he puts in place to that I do find that quite interesting, but it does suit some of the stuff that I'm into, so I don't know if everyone would. And the Trade Federation stuff is not, the whole trade blockade, trade dispute stuff is not a good way to start a movie.
No, I think that's my biggest, I was just like, what? This has not immediately captured my attention.
I mean, we just watched it and I was trying to pay attention to all that stuff, and I'm still not entirely sure what they're even doing with Naboo, so.
One question I did have about the political side of things. It doesn't seem like a very good or stable system that one person can just say, I move for a vote of no confidence, and then it's just, you're out of there, next guy's
presumably you need not like one of the chancellors, but like one of their, because she's like the queen, so it's maybe like a presidential prime minister type like relationship. They need one of them to call for the vote of no confidence. Then presumably they must have like a vote of no confidence, and then like 60% of people must. Where I thought it was confusing is that Palpatine says that Chancellor Valorum is popular because he and a lot of the people in the Republic are more interested in like lining their pockets and they're greedy and stuff. So I don't know why the vote of no confidence would pass, because I feel like if they're like, oh, he's actually benefiting our own secret agendas, why would they vote him out?
Yeah. And then after she says, I call for a vote of no confidence, then just like the room goes wild. But it wasn't really clear to me if they were like in support of the like at one point it cuts to these aliens and they just are dancing, and I'm what is happening here?
That is weird. Apparently in that scene, here's a bit of trivia for you. Okay. You can see some ET aliens, like ET the extraterrestrial, so there's a lot of strange CGI aliens that are often doing weird stuff. But yeah, there did seem to be some aliens in that scene that just started dancing for no reason, which was odd.
So I presume they voted for the no confidence. That would be my guess.
Yeah. So our heroes of the story are Obi-Wan Kenobi, who we see in the original trilogy as an old man. This is him as a young Jedi Padawan under the tutelage of Qui-Gon Jinn, who, as we learn, and I quite like this aspect of it, he is not on the Jedi Council, who we meet in the movie, and suck is what we learn, which is another thing I didn't really appreciate as a kid, is that you look at the Jedi and like, oh, the Jedi are cool, and you look at them now and you're like, these guys, I hate them. They got these stupid ideals that don't make any sense, and they're so mean to people for no reason, and they don't do anything.
Yeah. They were right about Anakin, though. They sensed that he was...
Yeah, but it's a kind of chicken and egg situation, because maybe if they were nicer to him and embraced him earlier, then he wouldn't have gone to the dark side, you know? If he didn't have to keep his relationship with Padme secret, he would have maybe not gone seeking Daddy Palpy's advice.
Their whole... You can't, have emotional attachments to people is totally whack. Because love is what
love conquers all.
Power.
Yeah. And Qui-Gon is like a hippie, so he's not on the council because of that, and he seems to have this different kind of feelings toward the Force, and you see him, I feel like that's why he bonds with Anakin and fights for him, and he seems to believe in the prophecy more than the other Jedi, or at least even if they believe in it, they're not willing to believe in it to an extent that they train Anakin, where he's, I will train Anakin, I'll leave the whole order to train Anakin. So I like them. Qui-Gon's first line in the movie is Obi-Wan says something's not right, or what the famous Star Wars line was, I've got a bad feeling about this, and then Qui-Gon says,
say that. That's Han Solo's line.
They say it in every Star Wars movie. That's a thing.
Oh, he does. Oh wait, maybe he does say it.
Yeah, different people say it in every Star Wars movie. And then Qui-Gon says, I don't sense anything. It's just what a genius. That's not good. Not a good sign. So I thought that was funny. I just it's just one of those where kind of like Twilight, you just can be taken out of the viewing experience with a weird misjudged line that sends you laughing that you don't expect.
Yeah.
And then we see them do the Force Jedi run really fast thing where they run away from some droids.
Never to be seen again?
Yeah, never to be seen again, which, another thing, interestingly, the end of this movie, basically Qui-Gon is fighting Darth Maul, and Obi-Wan is separated from them by these weird red laser barriers that he can't get through, and he can't run through them fast enough. If only he knew how to run really fast.
Yeah.
But alas. And I don't think we ever see the really fast running in any other Star Wars movie. So the Trade Federation Viceroy or whatever, do you think they're racist?
I think they don't feel great.
Yeah.
It's people say that they're poor stereotypes of Japanese people or something.
I think so,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the accents coupled with their, evil nature and their look, it doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would prefer if they just had not done them the way they did.
It does feel like an interesting creative choice, because it's just why do they all have to have weird Asian accents?
Yeah. And I don't know, I think a few of the choices in this film I did not appreciate. I also don't think the Gorgons, is that how they're?
No, the Gungans.
The Gungans, who are they're portrayed as the indigenous people on the island.
The planet.
Sorry. On the planet. And they're just made out to be they speak weirdly. Mm-hmm. And not in a way that's they just have a different language. It's the way they speak is
broken English.
Yeah. And I know that some people think that Jar Jar is racist as well. And I don't know. And the Gungans. The
Gungans, yeah.
The Gungans, when Padme comes to them and is we need you to help us with this thing. He's you said not to look down on us. The Gungans are like that. And then they just use them as bait.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I don't really like it.
Well, they show the Gungans lining up in this grand battle formation, but then they make Jar Jar, who is well established over the course of the movie, a complete idiot. They make him a general, and then he obviously that character exists as comic relief for children, but they keep cutting back to the Gungans fight scene, and Jar Jar is tripping over his own feet and accidentally murdering droids and stuff. It's totally. I feel like they could have just shown them to be competent. They're basically sent out as bait / a diversion version. Yeah, while the Jedi and the human characters do all the actual good stuff, including a 10-year-old who saves all of the Gungans by accidentally destroying the droid command center after they're beating the battle with the droids. So yeah, I feel like they could have been, I mean, just make them like competent and maybe have a couple more Gungan characters. I think there's like 3 that have lines. So there's Jar Jar, Boss Nass, who's like the leader, and I feel like he's a kind of like stereotypical Henry VIII, like boisterous leader type dude who's also doesn't seem to be very intelligent. And then there's the other soldier Gungan.
Oh yeah.
And he seems like okay. I mean, he still talks in like the same way, but he's not comedic relief to the same extent, I don't think.
Yeah, it just feels like some of their choices for aliens seemed a little bit too close to human cultures.
Yeah.
And weren't portrayed nicely, so.
Yeah. So they go to Naboo, they recruit Jar Jar, then they have to leave Naboo. They get Padme, who we think is Padme, but isn't Padme. I thought that was an interesting choice. Like, I think it shows that character to be, like, smart. It's like, I've got a body decoy or whatever, but it became kind of confusing for me just over the course of the movie, even though I knew that. I was like, have they switched back or have they not?
Yeah, it felt like there was one point when maybe they switched back before she was revealed. Because you mentioned it, and then I thought, well, her voice does sound different now, Amidala.
And also, so Padme is played by Natalie Portman, and her body double is played by Keira Knightley.
That's not Keira Knightley.
It is, yeah.
No, it's not. Are you serious?
Yeah, and they both have very annoying voices in this movie.
That's Keira Knightley? My mind is blown. Is Sabe? Is that?
That's the body double.
What?
Yeah.
Well, her voice is annoying, but don't sound like Keira Knightley.
No.
Because I can really recognize.
Yeah, I'm not sure like what the direction for that was. Like, is it like this is how the people from Naboo sound, or this is how like the upper class royalty of Naboo sound?
Yeah. You mean with Padme as well? Yeah. Her delivery is just it's awful. And I think what they were going for was kind of, I think they were trying to like she's a like stoic, like they were trying to make a female leader that wasn't like ruled by her emotions. She was like practical, stoic, and ready to like fight. I think that's what they were going for, like with her voice as well, because she just has no feeling in it.
It has no feeling and has a weird accent. It's totally wooden. It's awful.
Yeah, but I thought the droids were going to the Coruscant for the
it's awful. It makes you want to not listen anymore.
Yeah.
We talked about Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, so that's Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor, who are very good actors in their own right. Natalie Portman is an Oscar winner after this movie, but had a decent career already, even as a kid before Star Wars. So she's like a good actor. I feel like, we have Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and then I would say Palpatine are all put in pretty good performances, and then I think everyone else is struggling. Now, I think that's probably a mix of the direction from George Lucas, the script, which isn't great, and most actors probably would struggle to say some of the lines, and because they did a lot of filming on green screen, and I think at that time actors weren't used to doing that, and they probably didn't. Now they probably do a mix of green screen and like props, so like actors actually have things to like act around, whereas probably back then he was just like, let's just do it all on the screen. So people have like no sort of point of references or way to...
The second one, they shot a lot of it in...
Sarah's pointing.
Europe somewhere.
Yeah.
Because people go there I see it on people's...
Parts of it. I mean, there's one of the good things about Star Wars, or good things, one of the things about Star Wars is it's a very globe-trotting adventure across different planets, so there sort of necessitates a lot of variety in the way they are filming locations.
For example, Naboo is inspired by the Italian Renaissance. The sort of the like buildings and the location and stuff, but then it felt like the people and the costumes was more inspired by like East Asian cultures and India. Yeah, which I thought was, well, I had mixed feelings about, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe a bit culture vulture-y to just take things from a bunch of disparate cultures and be like, oh, a bit of Southeast Asia, a bit of India. Yeah, it's like Mambo number 5.
Yeah, like Natalie Portman, or Queen? Queen Amidala. Like, she looks cool, but it is, like, a little bit, cultural.
Yeah, I did make one of my notes was, like, I think the design at times is, like, excellent. Like, I think the droids look really cool. I mean, they're...
Which droid?
Just, like, the bog standard droids. I think they're, like, a good design.
Roger,
yeah.
those guys?
Yeah, like, I think they look, like, I don't think I'm not looking at it and being like, that's so cool, but it's just, like, I think they have, like, a cool design. They're, like, unique and they stand out. The droidicas are really cool. Those are the ones with the rolly ones with the shields.
No.
I love the different ships. Like you see the A wings and B wings, and I don't know if they. I think you've gone too far now. But in the original trilogy, they have X and Y wings. I don't know about C wings. That seems a bit ridiculous. So that stands out, and like the Amidala's costumes are cool. The different designs of some of the aliens, some of them look just weird. So a mixed bag, but generally they're pretty good. So they pick up Queen Amidala, and then they're like, "All right, we have to leave." But wait, our ships
hyperdrive. It's always the hyperdrive.
We can't get to Coruscant, where the galactic government is. It's the whole city the whole planet is a city, as they say in Coruscant. They can't get there, so they have to go to guess where. Tatooine. We have to go there in every Star Wars movie because. So they go to Tatooine, and then they get there, and they're like, "Oh, our drive is knackered. It's bust." Yeah. So they go into town to get parts, and then we encounter Watto, who's a real scoundrel, and he's like, "Sell me the parts," and he immediately just tries to trick him using the Jedi mind trick, but he doesn't want to steal the parts, which I thought was interesting, like moral boundaries being drawn by the Jedi. It's like, well, I will try and steal them by using my force powers, but I will not try and steal them by just taking them with force, which I could easily do.
Take them by risking the life of this child slave.
Yeah.
Rather than just killing Watto. Like, the Jedi kill people, you know? Mm-hmm. I feel like they've got a little greater good thing going on. Just kill him. Just steal it or kill him. Don't...
Yeah, and I feel like they maybe said that they have to get careful because they're on like an official like mission, because they're not meant to be like the galaxy's like policemen or what. They're kind of like the Secret Service. They can't just like start like killing people or whatever. But they're on Tatooine. They're like outside of the Republic. They make a point of saying that. So I feel like really anything would go. It's the Wild West out there.
It is the Wild West. I don't think people would really care if Watto was killed. I don't think he's got a big fan club or anything.
No, I would have been cheering for it. Yeah. I want to see his head on a spike.
Other than his friend Warwick Davis.
Oh, yeah.
His one friend.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then they go into Watto's shop, and then Anakin sees Natalie Portman for the first time.
Well, we see a little orphan boy.
Little orphan boy.
Well, not actually an orphan at this point.
Yeah. What is Anakin's first words to Padme?
Are you an angel?
Yeah. So bad.
Yeah. See, I'm going to defend Jake Lloyd, who's the actor, a little bit here. And
I mean, he's a kid.
Yeah, but he got obviously like a lot of stick, and he like retired from acting, and I think has had issues his whole life due to bullying. He said he got almost like bullied out of acting, or kids would just keep making like Star Wars like lightsaber noises near him and stuff. That doesn't sound so bad, to be honest. It might get a little bit annoying, but come on.
I'm surprised he didn't pull an Anakin.
Yeah, but I think probably there was a lot of like toxicity as remains around Star Wars, where I could see it becoming difficult.
Didn't Hayden Christensen also get bullied out of acting for a while, and now he's back?
Pretty much, yeah. Now it's the Christian Renaissance.
Good. We've all been waiting for it.
Yeah, and Ahmed Best, who plays Jar Jar, I think had a similar incident. Actually had like very serious issues with his mental health, which thankfully he's managed to come out the other side of that, and I think was in a Star Wars show recently, not playing Jar Jar, but he got to be like a Jedi, which I saw a lot of people sort of like celebrating, which is like cool. I would hope that people, I mean, Jar Jar is annoying. He's very annoying, but it's
character, but it's not the actor's fault. The character's
and I think his performance is like pretty good, really. It's probably would have been quite hard because he is like a person, but it's like all CGI'd out or whatever.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a really long tongue. He doesn't have googly eyes, so you have to bring all that to Anakin. To Jar Jar.
I was like, wait, Anakin has googly eyes? He does when Padme walks in.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and Jake Lloyd, I think, like, some of his dialogue isn't great, but I don't think his performance is, like, awful. I think it's fine. There's certainly worse.
It's a pretty typical kid performance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's not very good, but that's what do you expect from a 9-year-old?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So
we do have, in this scene, we have our first yippee count.
Oh, yeah. Sarah was making a note of this because I've frequently made a joke where how I remembered it happening in Phantom Menace is that Qui-Gon tells Anakin he's not going to be a slave anymore, and then he goes, yippee! Which doesn't actually happen.
No, it does happen.
Okay.
It's not like immediately.
Yeah.
But he basically says like yippee, and then he's like, wait a minute, is my mom still going to be a slave? So the 4 yippies are when Watto says, in this scene, Watto says he can just like stop working early. He goes, yippee! Second yippee is when during the pod race, Anakin rushes by and one of his friends goes, yippee! And I think it's like probably dubbed in. Third yippee is after being freed. Anakin after being freed.
That's worthy for yippee, I think.
And fourth yippee is when the Gungans agree to fight. Jar Jar does a yippee. That is 4 yippies in one movie.
Yeah.
That is too many yippee.
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard yippee more than once in any movie ever. So 4, I mean, that's probably a record.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say yippee.
So Qui-Gon, I don't even really remember how they end up. Oh, there's a storm coming, so they end up staying with Shmi Skywalker and Anakin. And then they learn a bit more about Anakin and his mum, and find out they're slaves on Tatooine. And then they find out that Anakin doesn't have a dad and was conceived. What is in reality, he was conceived by the Force due to manipulation by Palpatine. But we don't find that out in the movies, which is very weird. It's very quite biblical.
Yeah, because in this one it seems like it is biblical and like it was like meant to be or whatever. But then in other lore, it's Palpatine. He like impregnates her without like touching her.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. I don't think he like sees her necessarily. He's just like manipulating the Force, the midichlorians or whatever. It's odd.
I don't understand.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's magic. It's hand waving.
Oh, we're back to that now. Okay.
Yeah, so
he was conceived by Force
magic. Yeah, we don't know that in
evil Force.
Yeah, and then Qui-Gon becomes like interested in him and takes his midichlorian count he lies to Anakin and say he's gonna like take his like blood to check for like diseases or something, and then he does it. And then he has a little like midichlorian machine, but then he has to send the readings back to Obi-Wan for him to do the analysis. So I was like,
we need more Obi-Wan. We need more Ewan McGregor on screen.
Yeah, he does go for like a long period where he's not in the movie very much, which is interesting. He's just like on the ship doing nothing.
Oh.
Yeah. So they come up with a plan that, because Watto won't sell him the parts that they need to get off Tatooine, that Anakin will enter a thing called a pod race, which he's the only human able to do pod racing because no one else has the reaction speed, which I did like was a nice little bit of world building. And then Qui-Gon's like, yeah, that sounds like a great plan to me. It's much less questionable morally to put a child's life in danger. He knows how dangerous pod racing is, to enter a 10-year-old child who owes nothing to him into a dangerous pod race. And then gamble on it.
Yeah. Because I don't understand why he doesn't put freeing Anakin into the deal in the first place. But then he does later, so... Yeah.
Qui-Gon literally says at one point, I didn't come here to free slaves, which I thought was a good line again. I was like, well, maybe that's the point, though, is to kind of show how non-heroic the Jedi actually are. It's just about the mission, which is about using this boy to get my engine.
And why doesn't he just take Anakin's mom isn't part of the deal? But what's gonna happen if he like takes her? No one's gonna come out. He's a Jedi.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. And Qui-Gon also, so Watto doesn't want to give Anakin away. Qui-Gon basically barters with Watto as part of the gambling to give Anakin away. And in the trivia, I just looked, apparently Watto is especially annoyed at Qui-Gon in that scene because Qui-Gon, we see him do a little hand wave to fix the dice as to being the result that would result in Anakin being freed. And apparently Watto had fixed, like, they were fake dice that was always going to land on the one that would be Shmi. So he knows that he was like tricked, but he doesn't have the balls to like.
He was also doing the tricking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
the trickster was tricked.
Yeah, but then I also thought Qui-Gon, it's kind of like a trolley problem situation, you know, where it's like you're not meant to be rescuing slaves, but you get an opportunity to, but then you fix the dice roll to be the one that you want to take. That's more advantageous to you.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's a complex character, and Qui-Gon.
So then we get into the pod race.
Yeah, the pod race, which goes on for ages.
It's so long.
They don't need to do 3 laps. I know 3 laps, like things come in threes, and that's a bit more aesthetically pleasing than 2 laps, and maybe 1 lap. They wouldn't have been long enough, but
make the first 2 real fast and then skip on to the last one. We don't need. Oh my god, it was so long.
Yeah. Also, like, they have to have enough time to like eliminate basically every single racer as the pod race goes on, as the podcast goes on, and which I thought was like fine or whatever. It's clearly a very dangerous sport. But Anakin he's like a minute behind because his pod doesn't start. So Sebulba can't be that good at racing because he has a minute head start in any other race. Like any sort of motorsport race, that would be it.
Yeah, his car must be much faster.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's going at a speed considered too dangerous to other.
Yeah, but you'd think Sebulba would do that as well, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. And so, like, the first 2/3 of the movie is...
The pod race.
The pod race. It's them preparing for the pod race. Well, it's the Trade Federation crap. And then it's them preparing for the pod race. And then it's the pod race. And I'm like, well, this has been a stupid premise. Like, the first premise is the boring Trade Federation thing. And then the second problem is just that they need a part for their ship.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, I don't know. That's not great storytelling.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if George Lucas like came up with the idea Trade Federation and pod racing.
Yeah.
He's like, now I need to write Star Wars around this. Like pod racing, like it does look kind of cool,
okay.
but it's not. I don't think it's cool enough for the amount of importance is given in the plot's runtime. I don't think it's that cool.
Yeah. Oh, I had some trivia about the pod race. Some of the audience, so it's the Boonta Eve Classic is what the pod race is called. And some of the audience members are actually...
Warwick Davis?
Yeah, well, Warwick Davis is in it. But some of the, like, crowd are just colorful cotton swabs.
What does that mean?
Like, they put in as physical effects.
Oh, I thought that was some
sort.
I thought you guys started talking in pirate or something.
No.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And some of the cheers and jeers from the audience, like when someone explodes or someone, like Annie takes the lead and then the crowd cheers, some of that stuff was taken by the sound designer, Ben Burt, at a San Francisco 49ers American football game.
Oh,
he just
wow.
recorded the crowd's like reactions and used that.
The people of Frisco in a Star Wars
Yeah.
movie. Who would have thought?
Which I thought that was... I mean, it makes sense, because otherwise you gotta, like, get a huge crowd of people to make your...
Well, the Skywalker Ranch thing is in Northern California. Do you think there's any connection to that? George Lucas's... There's something that George Lucas owns that's, like, in... It's, like, near Muir Woods in Northern California. In the misty woods of Northern California. Because that's where Andor is, right?
But it's not, right? Isn't that what we found out?
It just looks like
it's
Andor.
not specifically those... But I think it is in Northern California. But it's not the ones that we visited.
Right.
It's not Muir Woods. Are we done with the pod race yet?
Well, Anakin wins it, which is yippee. I think he says like I did it or something, which is nice. Qui-Gon's happy.
Oh wait, we missed the before it when he goes, "It's working."
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought us back to that part.
Well, I say that sometimes when something starts working.
Oh. I just thought that was a Sarahism.
Nope, that's what Anakin is.
Yeah, that was a classic moment, classic bit of cinema. So then Qui-Gon tells Anakin that now he's free, and then Anakin's all happy, then he realizes that his mum's not coming along, which is sad because, you know, it'd be morally wrong to steal a slave, you know.
Yeah, according to that Jedi code.
Yeah,
that Qui-Gon
that's not my
doesn't
opinion.
Follow.
That was the point of what my delivery was there, that Qui-Gon is an idiot, or at least he doesn't seem to have much in the way of morals.
But he doesn't even follow the like Jedi code, so I don't understand why.
So Darth Maul is introduced, who is like the villain on the poster and everything. And Darth Maul's design is awesome. I think he's really cool.
It's such a boy thing to say.
He is cool.
Boys just love Darth Maul.
Well, he is cool.
He is cool.
So he's introduced as part of like he's like scheming with Palpatine, and he's sent to Tatooine to find the Jedi. I think to like I'm not even really sure what he's doing.
Kill him.
But he needs Queen Amidala to get to get to Coruscant to do the vote of no confidence.
Yeah, what is? To be fair, I don't think I was really listening when he was giving him the orders. Darth Maul the orders.
Well, I think it is to kill him, but I don't know how that makes sense with the rest of the plan. Or maybe it's to rescue Anakin. It's not clear to me, does Palpatine do some manipulating with them, and that's like he wants them to go to Tatooine so they can get Anakin?
Oh.
Because that would seem to make sense. He like knows he's there. force pregnated her. That's a whole new form of artificial insemination.
But then,
PIVF.
is he sending him there to get Anakin?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Okay.
So then it cuts to Darth Maul sending his little drones around, and then it just cuts back, and Qui-Gon and Anakin are just like running through the desert for some reason in sight of the ship, and it's like you're left thinking, how long has this been going on for? Has Qui-Gon just had Anakin running for like 10 miles through the desert?
I'm tired.
Yeah, and then I feel like the editing there is like pretty bad because you really have like time to adjust yourself, and just suddenly Darth Maul's like, he just appears out of nowhere and fights Qui-Gon, importantly, with only one lightsaber.
Oh, so where does he get the second one?
Well, it's the same lightsaber, he just doesn't use both ends.
What? Oh, because he's only fighting one person.
Because then you get the really cool reveal. You get the really cool reveal at the end when he unleashes both sides, and everyone's like, "Whoa!" So he fights, and Qui-Gon, they're not really sure who it is. They're like, it's like a shadow. It's like a Phantom Menace.
So what do you think that the Phantom Menace is referring to in the title?
Well, I feel like it has to be Palpatine. At first I thought it was Darth Maul.
Yeah, you just said Darth Maul.
Yeah, well, I thought, because at first they don't, for some reason, they're very like, they talk about, even though Qui-Gon has just seen him, they're like, what was it? I don't know, I don't understand, some sort of creature or something. They don't immediately go, oh, he has a red lightsaber, he's a Sith. But maybe the Sith have been away for so long that they don't really have that sort of understanding of what they are, or that they all have red lightsabers. So that's curious.
But Anakin has a green lightsaber. It doesn't turn red when he becomes evil.
Yeah, he has to have a new one made.
That would have been
a kyber
cool,
crystal.
That would be cool if your lightsaber like sensed you were good or bad, and then it like slowly turned red as.
Yeah, the red lightsabers are the most cool.
I don't know. I like the purple one. You know the. Well, you know the story with it, right?
Yeah, tell this for our listeners who might not know.
I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Samuel L. Jackson, he said in some interview for something else he was doing, he was like, I want to be in Star Wars, and that's how he got the role, because then they were like, heck yeah, we want you in Star Wars. And then he said, George Lucas said the lightsabers are green if you're a good guy, and the lightsaber green or blue if you're a good guy, and they're red if you're a bad guy. And then he said, Samuel L. Jackson said, well, can I have a purple one? Because that's cool. And then he was like, yeah.
The only reason the purple one is cool is because he's the only one who has it. And it would be cool, but Mace Windu sucks. He isn't a cool character. He's so annoying. And we don't see... He has like one good moment when in Attack of the Clones when he cuts off Jango Fett's head. But apart from that, he's just so...
He puts up a good fight against Palpy.
Yeah, well, he does compared to the rest of the Jedi who get like killed in about 3 seconds. They don't even like, do anything. He does that weird spin attack, takes out like 2 of them, or takes out 1 of them, and then the other 2 are just sort of like standing there bewildered, and then he just like scythes them down. I guess again, it's like the implication would be he's moving so much faster, but it doesn't look like he is on screen. It's just bad.
Okay, well, back to the Phantom Menace. So now that you're thinking about it, you think it's
Palpatine, because he's like the Phantom. You can't see him, but he's in the background and he's doing menacing actions. So I think it could be either Maul or Palpatine, but I think it's Palpatine.
Yeah, some people also say maybe Anakin. Actually, I've seen that more than Darth Maul, because he's also like kind of like the power and stuff that's like lurking and like in the background.
Yeah. I will say I don't know if you've seen this, but we can flash it up. There's a really cool poster of like child Anakin on Tatooine, and then there's like a shadow behind him, and it's Darth Vader. I think that's really cool.
It's Darth Vader, not Darth Maul. Oh, because it's like his future.
Yeah. And I feel like that's probably the best thing that came out of this movie, to be honest, is that poster.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Even just the poster, I was just looking at the poster, like the regular poster, and there's one, and all of them have Darth Maul with his eyes, like he's the background, and his eyes are the background, and he does look pretty cool. And then in the middle as well is Queen Amidala with her like makeup, and then it's
it's Barry Bonds coming up to hit.
And then it's like Qui-Gon on one side and Anakin, but it's like all very like symmetric, but there's no Anakin in it. But he's the Phantom. You can't see him, but he's coming.
I mean, that's a part of the reason I think like they use Darth Maul in all these like promotional materials and stuff, and he's just like not in the movie that much.
But he just looks cool.
Which Yeah.
He does play a big part in like the way events go because
Yeah.
he kills Qui-Gon.
Yeah, it would be better, like it would be more acceptable, I think, if he was in the movie this much, but then he was like, he remained the bad guy throughout the rest of the movies.
Okay.
This is another like problem with like the prequels, is they keep introducing these like minor villains and then they like kill him. Like in the second one, it's then like Count Dooku, and you're like, who's this guy? Like, oh, he's played by... He just wanted that guy, Saruman.
Deep voice guy.
Yeah. I can't believe I've forgotten his name.
It's a bad one.
I think it's Lee something.
Oh, I don't remember.
You know he's a heavy metal band? No. Well, I think he died, unfortunately. Christopher Lee.
Chris Lee.
Yeah, so Christopher Lee has a sort of weird, had a heavy metal band thing. They had a bunch of really bad album artwork I remember seeing online. Anyway, and then in the third one, it's like, oh, Count Dooku's not enough. We have to have this Grievous dude in. It's just, you keep introducing these characters with no real backstory or for a reason for us to care about them. Just keep Darth Maul alive. He's the coolest of all of them. And then have him die at the end.
Yeah, well, it is a common thing. Like, I feel like it's common to have the Sith Lord and the apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he always has to have his apprentice. But the second two evil people you said aren't apprentices.
No, I know, yeah. I think, like, Dooku maybe becomes technically the apprentice for a bit.
I feel like Obi-Wan, like, getting angry and basically avenging Qui-Gon is very, like, dark side. Like, that's what, whenever Palpatine is trying to get one of his, like, someone to become basically his new apprentice, he's always like, yes, kill my apprentice, embrace the power of the dark side.
Here it comes.
Join the dark side.
Oh, God. Unlimited power!
Yeah, God, the worst line ever. I think that is one of the things that, like, Obi-Wan, they go into it in the Clone Wars, actually. He has a relationship with someone that he's, like, charged with protecting, and then they die, and that causes him to withdraw a bit. But again, he knows he's breaching the Jedi Code or whatever by doing that, and he somehow doesn't realize that. Or maybe I think it's implied in Clone Wars or something, he does know that Anakin or Padme are together, and he just hopes it'll end or something. But
yeah, I think he does. I think he, like, knows something is going on, and then he, like, actually knows.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he tells them, like, to stop, but he also, I think, is more understanding than other Jedis would be.
Yeah. I mean, as the movies go on, I don't think they do, like, a great job of showing the kind of bond that Anakin and Obi-Wan are meant to have. They sort of do all that work off screen and then just, like, show them complaining about each other all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I like their banter and stuff. Because they're so close in age, you know?
Yeah.
Well, kind of. Okay, Padme and Annie, I can't get behind. Because even though they're supposed to be, like, somewhat close in age, him being this tiny little child and her basically being an adult in this one, like, she's like, oh, Annie, oh. And then in the next one, she's like, oh, Annie. But I'm like...
Yeah, I think in the next one, she says something, oh my, how you've grown or something. I do think it's totally... weird decision. Like, they've made that problem for themselves by they could have had any other option.
I mean, when I looked it up, it's actually like Anakin is supposed to be 10 and the actor's 9. Padme is supposed to be 14 and the actress is 16. So, like, 14 and 10 isn't it, but they look so different.
I think it's because she's, like, queen as well. It's like, this is like an adult,
all the makeup,
a young adult, and a 10-year-old boy who keeps shouting yippee.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it would be different if, like, Padme has a bit more, like, personality or whatever, and she came across more childlike. But because she's so devoid a lot of the time, she comes across like a sort of boring adult.
Oh, Annie, how you have grown.
It's not great.
Yeah. Okay, but real quick, back to the Phantom Menace thing. When I was a child, I thought, because I would, like, look at the poster and look at the thing, and I thought that the big looming, like, white face of Padme, I thought that was the Phantom, like, it was a ghost. Because this is when I was, like, very young. Yeah,
I can see that. That's the kind of imagination of a child.
Yeah.
You kind of...
But that's what I always thought, like, Padme was a ghost. first.
Yeah. You didn't have the understanding of metaphor yet. You just read the
No.
word phantom and
Yeah.
thought, must be a ghost. Yeah. So they leave Naboo, they go to Coruscant. That's when all the politicking happens, which we talked about a little bit earlier, that some of it's a bit like overly dramatic and it's not, you know, hard-hitting political drama, but I quite enjoy some of it. I really like Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine. I think he does like a good performance. I like how they brought him back. It is kind of interesting because he must have been like quite kind of young in Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, but it's the same actor, so...
Yeah, because I'm trying to think what he looks like in the original trilogy. Because I have thought that before, like, how is this actor?
I mean, I'm sure he's like in makeup and he has like the hood on stuff, so you can't see his face like that well. It's just more interesting choice for Return of the Jedi, where they're, oh, the really old, decrepit Emperor. Let's cast like a 30-year-old for it.
Yeah.
That's just, I don't know, an interesting choice. But yeah, I think he's really good. We get the insight into the Jedi Council where Qui-Gon's like, well, you have to train the boy, and they're like, no, he's too old for some reason. That is a deal breaker.
Yeah, well, I think it's more...
It's not about we sense darkness in him, he's just too old.
No, it is we sense darkness in him.
Well, the too old thing is the main reason they give. Maybe they don't want to say that.
I think that wasn't that the first reason they give? Because when they're in there, like, testing him by just, like, holding up papers and being like...
What's on the other side of the paper?
Yeah, what's on the other side of this paper? A ship. Unbelievable. But that is when Yoda says, I sense a huge amount of fear in you. Fear leads to fear leads to hate. No, fear leads to something.
Something leads to suffering. That's the worst
Something
one.
leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
That's Obi-Wan. You're doing Obi-Wan's voice, and Stark is Annie.
Oh. But so Yoda does, like, I think that is their main reason, but the age thing is more of a excuse.
Yeah. Did you like any of the Jedi when you saw them? I don't like any of them. Yoda is not... In Empire Strikes Back, when you meet him, he's funny because he's this crazy old little yellow... or crazy old little green rat.
Yeah, he's
and he's trying to like steal Luke's food and stuff, and he's like banging R2-D2 with a stick and everything. But in this one, he's just... Well, I mean, you know, he's talking in like riddles or whatever. Mace Windu, I mean, it's almost an incredible performance from Samuel L. Jackson because he manages to completely get rid of all of his natural charisma and just become this like boring idiot who's just like...
he does seem kind of like an asshole a bit.
It's like he doesn't like Qui-Gon maybe, so he automatically doesn't like Annie. He doesn't like Anakin for that reason. I don't know. I don't like him at all. And then the other ones you see is like Ki-Adi Mundi, who's the guy with the big head. There's that weird guy.
With the long neck.
Yeah.
Notice Tim bobbing around a lot.
Yeah. Then there's Yaddle, who's like the female Yoda, who I think was like very controversial in the fandom when this came out.
Oh, I saw something about her. It was like she was supposed to be the original Yoda puppet or something,
right.
And then they reused her or something like that.
I feel like I'd read something like George Lucas, this was like kind of like insight into the behind the scenes, where he spent the whole time being like, Yoda has to be CGI, but then he has to be CGI to look like a puppet, and then they were like, why don't we just use a puppet?
Yeah.
But then I feel like I've seen a Phantom Menace where Yoda is a puppet in this one, and then in Attack of the Clones and then Revenge of the Sith, he's CGI, but he was definitely CGI in this one, which I thought was weird.
They could alternate.
From scene to scene.
No, that's the thing. Like in Harry Potter, sometimes Dobby is a puppet and stuff, but most of the time he's CGI.
Yeah. I feel like depending on, it might give you kind of like whiplash, especially because they've introduced another Yoda character. You'd be like, is that Yoda or is it Yaddle?
And because the CGI isn't like that
good.
Great, yeah.
Some of it looks okay, but some of it you're like, oh man, that's really bad. That hasn't held up well. I think that's always the problem when you really rely on CGI with a lot of the stuff in the early 2000s that like tried to do that. I think Attack of the Clones is actually worse for this reason. They over-relied on CGI, but because technology's advanced, we're not like impressed with it anymore, and it actually looks worse now than if they just used practical stuff. So.
Yeah. All right, we're skipping ahead to the big fight.
Okay.
Big fight between Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon.
Yeah, this is the climax of the movie, and this is probably the best part because they have the Duel of the Fates, which is the song done by
John Williams.
Yeah, John Williams, the famous Star Wars composer, and the idea of that is it's meant to be
all of the music by him.
Yeah, but like this is like the big song from this one that everyone loves.
Wait, is this the one that's like?
Yeah, it's a really epic sounding one. I really like it.
No, it's pretty cool.
I think the idea of like Duel of the Fates is meant to be Qui-Gon versus Darth Maul are fighting for like Anakin's soul, because depending on who wins, it's like that's what the outcome's going to be.
But it's Oh, because Darth Maul does win.
Mm-hmm.
Duel of the Fates. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. And it's called Duel of the Fates.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know that in the movie, but that's why the song's
So
called
it's
that.
the light versus dark.
Mm-hmm. I did think it was interesting compared to, because in like Return of the Jedi at the climax they have the like 3-pronged battle where you have the stuff happening in space, you have Luke versus Palpatine and Vader on the Death Star, and then all the stuff happening on Endor, and then this time it's 3 battles happening at once. Let's do 4 battles happening at once, because you have Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul.
Main fight.
Yeah, you have the Gungans, you have Padme and everyone.
Happening.
Padme and everyone storming the throne room, and then you have Anakin accidentally flying into space and blowing up the Droid Federation's trade ship. The Droid Federation's trade ship. The Trade Federation's droid controller ship.
Yeah, I do like that because they do it again in the trilogy afterwards.
The sequel
trilogy. Yeah, where there's like 3 big moments happening at once, and it seems like in each case all is lost. And then somehow Palpatine returned. No,
somehow all wasn't lost.
Somehow everything is resolved. But yeah, 4 might be too many.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interest that previously they were like 3 battles at once is our record. Let's go for 4 this time. But yeah, I mean, they're all fine, but the lightsaber fight is the pick of the bunch. So
it's the one that you want it to keep coming back to, and you're like, why'd it cut away?
So you get the big reveal where Darth Maul does both of his lightsaber blades, which apparently was a massive deal in the trailers before Phantom Menace. Everyone was like going crazy for it.
Oh, they did it in the trailer? Doesn't that kind of ruin the reveal?
Yeah, but I think people got people like excited for it. Yeah. Apparently, a lot of people went to see the movie Meet Joe Black, which came out in 1999, which has Brad Pitt in it, because the Phantom Menace trailer played before it, and then people would watch it and then go out and just walk out.
Oh, that's kind of was a cool time though, where you couldn't just
find it on your phone. Yeah,
you had to go to the movies.
Yeah, well, the people who made Meet Joe Black were probably very excited.
Yeah, well, no one watched their movie.
I think it's meant to actually be quite good. I haven't seen it, but it's at least a movie that I was like aware of apart from that bit of trivia.
Yeah,
so.
But during this part, we get another great Anakin line when he's just like happens to steal the ship by accident, and then he goes, "Now this is pod racing."
Yeah.
When he's like killing people.
I always forget that that's during that part of it.
Yeah, I thought it was during the race.
Yeah, it's certainly a thing.
Yeah, I kind of like how he like accidentally blew up the thing, and then he comes at like all the fighters on the outside are like, wait a minute, it's blowing up from the inside.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah, accidentally flies into the ship, which again, it's kind of like, why has no one else like tried to do that? And then he accidentally shoots the missile. He's not even like aiming at anything. It just so happens to blow up like the best thing that it could blow up.
Yeah, I think he goes, oops.
Yeah, so that's all right. The Gungans are all right. The lightsaber fight is good. So Ray Park is the martial artist who plays Darth Maul, so that's why you get a lot of like the flips and the kicks and everything that he's doing. I do like how they integrate like an actual sort of fighting style in with the lightsaber combat, and the dual wield lightsaber, that's not the right word, the dual bladed lightsaber.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, we haven't really seen something like that. I don't really know how practical it would be on some level, because I feel like you'd be more at risk of getting yourself with it.
Yeah. But it's just, I think you would have to learn just a different style of fighting. Because it's kind of like fighting with a bamboo stick versus a sword. Yeah,
did you think of like a sort of Buddhist monk doing that? That was what immediately came to my brain when I thought of someone fighting with a big stick.
Don't monks not fight?
Yeah,
like
I thought that might be a stereotype or something.
I thought, more like, I guess some kind of martial arts.
Yeah.
Karate.
So Obi-Wan gets like separated from them by getting kicked down a big shaft. And he thankfully doesn't fall all the way down, but just a bit of the way down. This is where we introduce like all of the Jedi like jumping up really high and stuff, which I don't think always looks great. Like it looks a bit, because the physics I don't really think mesh up that well. And then we have this like climax scene where they get stuck in this corridor with the alternating lasers, and we talked about before how Obi-Wan, based on what we saw earlier in the movie, should be able to just run really fast through them, but doesn't.
But I more just wish they hadn't done that earlier scene.
Yeah.
Because I do think it it's a good tool for like building tension.
Yeah.
It is a bit like, why are all these like laser things
Yeah.
there? But I think it is a cool.
I also really like that Qui-Gon meditate while Darth Maul's like pacing back and forth. I do like the way it highlights the contrast between not just like the dark side and the light side or whatever, but in the middle of like, the battle, Qui-Gon's focusing on his connection with the Force. However, it would probably be cooler if he wasn't killed about 10 seconds later, because it kind of implies that he didn't have the concentration. He was doing all right in the fight before that, so...
Yeah, and it made me have a question, because it was my understanding that in order to become a Force ghost, you had to like essentially let yourself be killed, like accept your death before it happens. Because I thought we see like that's what happens with Luke, old Luke, and that's what I feel like that's established later, maybe in the original trilogy, that's a thing. But I don't know if I've just totally made this up, because Qui-Gon he doesn't let him, and he's supposed to be the first Force ghosty guy.
I don't know, maybe he kind of gets a feeling that Darth Maul is gonna beat him, and like he's sort of getting his house in order before that happens. Like he's not going to just give up, but maybe doing that kind of, you know, that changes fate. Once you've done that, you can't have the best of both worlds. If you've agreed to become the Force ghost, you can't then just like hope you're going to win in the fight. The balance of the Force won't allow that.
Yeah. Maybe his meditating is him like accepting his death.
Yeah.
But then why does he fight?
Yeah, should have just run out onto his blade.
Yeah. Maybe it's
just falls down the hole. Does a big dive down the hole.
Yeah. And then we have the big Obi-Wan jump that we covered earlier.
Cuts Darth Maul in half, which I do like how you see him separate, and then his face, as you can see, is like in terror as his like cape is like sort of blowing in the...
I'm not sure how he could have survived that.
So it's now in official canon. I think it has been for a while because it's in Clone Wars or whatever, that he gets like robot legs, and then his menace to the Jedi and Obi-Wan and him fight a bunch of times more during Clone Wars.
But wouldn't he bleed out?
Yeah. Well, no, because maybe the lightsaber would cauterize the wound instantly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. But he fell down like 1,000,000 feet.
Yeah. His small intestine's definitely gone.
Yeah. Well, and there was a theory for a while, I guess before the theory Euan just said was confirmed, that Lord Grievous... General Grievous, because he has these like little organs in him. He's mostly robot, but he's got these organs, which makes him a cyborg. And so there was a theory for a while that Darth Maul's organs were in General Grievous, and that he was like Darth Maul. Reincarnated, but then Darth Maul is reincarnated elsewhere
with robot legs.
Yeah.
I wonder when that became canon, and if they were like, oh no, we actually did make a huge mistake killing him off, because
he was cool.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely cooler than Dooku.
Yeah, and I feel like they try to like make a cool lightsaber with in the new ones. Mm-hmm. With having it be kind of like a sword, but it has, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It has the little...
Yeah, it's I can't remember what you call that, the hilt that like juts out.
Yeah, the hilt is old, but he never uses that.
Like a block breaker or something. He does a couple times.
Oh, never mind. Well, it's cool, but it's not as cool as the
Dooku's lightsaber has like a weird like curve on it to make it look like a fencing like sword or something. If you look at the handle, it's he has his own like distinct style where he fights with like one hand behind his back.
Like he's fencing. Wait, Dooku, Christopher Lee?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do we see him fight with a lightsaber?
Yeah, he fights Yoda. That's when the infamous bit with Yoda flipping around everywhere. About. He beats Anakin and Obi-Wan when they were both fighting him in episode 2.
Oh, because then he like brings something heavy down, right? Yeah. We'll get to that. But anyway, do we have...
So I think there's some goods here. The new opinions on the prequels are generally that people like them, or the people who like them, and episode 3 people love. I don't think anyone particularly loves episode 1 or 2. I think this is better than episode 2, and maybe isn't better than episode 3, but I don't think episode 3 is as good as everyone seems to say. Just so you know.
Hot take.
Well, it wasn't that hot a take until 5 years ago, but...
Yeah, that's true. Do you remember when you first watched this? Can you put yourself into that mindset?
I think I must have been 8 or 9 or something.
Did you know that Palpatine was the same as the Sith Lord?
I don't know. It's one of those, it's the same thing with the whole, Luke is Darth Vader's son thing. It's one of those parts of popular culture. It's like
It's so ingrained.
Yeah, like I don't actually remember if I already knew that before I saw Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I did. So
I think if I watched it now, I think I would know, because they like.
well, right at the end, there's some sort of like ominous thing that Yoda says, and it just like cuts directly to Palpatine.
Yeah.
And you're like, why would it do that?
Yeah, but I think maybe when I watched it, because I was like very young, I don't know if I made that connection. To be honest, I was so young, I don't even know if I made the connection when they like revealed it.
Well, I wonder like if that was like a choice that they made to try and make it not obvious to people who didn't already know. But yeah, I suppose we can't go back to that time to know. Yeah.
Sad. All right, maybe we'll have to do who's the biggest baddie when we're done with the prequel.
Yeah, well, I mean, probably, spoiler alert, my answer for that is probably going to be George Lucas, unless I think of something else. But,
what, for his bad dialogue?
Yeah, and bad writing, and not coming up with a better story, and some weird choices. Probably the real bad guy is... I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you could go with this.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon, I feel like makes a lot of bad moral decisions, as much as I do like him.
And his one decision that is kind of moral, which is freeing Annie, leads to the death of like hundreds and hundreds of
And it's also
people.
like kind of for his own like benefit. Like it's part of his like religious belief system that he's like doing that. It's not because he's like motivated by some sort of altruistic purpose.
Yeah, and he keeps saying like he's the one destined to bring balance to the Force, and that's on purpose, right? Because he is. Because he kills all the Jedi, right?
Yeah.
And then there's 2 Sith and 2 Jedi, and that's even.
Well, it's not really clear what the balance of the Force actually means, because I feel like the implication would maybe be what the Jedi see it is like at the end of Return of the Jedi, when they're all dancing around the campfire in Endor with the Ewoks. Yeah. And it's like, Palpatine's dead, Darth Vader's dead, and the Force ghosts are smiling, and it's like, there's only a couple Jedi, and, you know, maybe we want more Jedi, but... That's balance of the Force is there's no more evil, but that doesn't really seem to make sense.
Yeah, and in the like 3 Clone Wars episodes that my dad made me watch, it is more of like a balance of light and dark, not just like light winning, like light, not just light. Because it's also can be like a metaphor for like, we all have dark and light sides of us, and they all make us who we are.
Yeah, well, I guess that's probably part of the problem with the Jedi, is that they think you have to reject the dark side of you, and maybe that's part of the reason why they have a downfall, is that they don't really...
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Yeah, but I deal in absolute.
Search Annie the Musical bar scene. Search it now.
We'll watch that after we finish recording, just to get our fix. Yeah, so maybe it's like an idea that the Jedi don't actually understand the prophecy. I feel like that's always what happens with prophecies. It's like Voldemort. He doesn't understand the prophecy that's told to him, or he doesn't interpret it in the right way. So they're like, oh, bring balance to the Force. That can only be a good thing.
Yeah.
That won't mean that all of us will die. Maybe Qui-Gon. Although I feel kind of conflicted because I do like him.
I know, I like him too.
Yeah, I kind of like how he says, fuck you, Jedi.
Yeah.
You suck.
Yeah, it could be the Jedi Council.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. Mace Windu's the real villain.
Mace Windu?
Yeah, stupid Mace Windu.
But Yoda's the one who has, like, the power. Mace Windu just says shit.
No, I think they're all, like, on the council. I don't know if Yoda... Well, maybe Yoda's, like, because he's respectable. Yeah, probably.
He's the oldest. Respect your elders.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Mace Windu.
Maybe... because their like resistance to Anakin and pushing him away, you think that pushes him towards the dark side?
Yeah, and I think
or you just don't like Mace Windu.
I don't like the Jedi full stop. I think like actually as a kid, like you're meant to like the Jedi because in the original trilogy it's like the Jedi are the heroes or whatever, and it is interesting. I feel like the Star Wars the core elements is like there's not a lot of room for like moral grayness, and I feel like the Jedi, as an older person now, hopefully not too old, but I'm like looking at it and I'm like I feel like you have to interpret the Jedi as not being good, or at least not being completely good.
Yeah, they
are like this kind of like grey organization, but you wouldn't really associate that with Star Wars, so I do kind of like that, but I like to hate him now.
Yeah, okay, I think my big baddie of Star Wars, Jar Jar.
Oh, come on. What about the actor? He has such a hard time. That's why I didn't want to say him or Jake Lloyd.
Well, I'm not saying the actor. I'm saying the character.
No, but he is annoying, yeah.
And he is the cause for a big power shift in the next one.
Have you seen the Darth Jar Jar theories?
Yeah, actually.
Maybe we can explore them as we go and
Okay,
talk about
yeah.
like what
We have been talking
the events have
about
the events that Jar Jar does that cause the Darth Jar Jar theory. So,
Yeah, well, there you go. Jar Jar is the big baddie.
in your opinion, I'm still going Mace Windu.
He's still going Mace Windu.
It's a
Nobody's
stupid
saying
name, though.
Darth
Mace
Sidious.
Windu. No. Well, that's
Mace
not fun.
Windu and gets thrown out a window.
That's foreshadowing.
Now that
From
is
the very
good
naming of him.
character building. All right, do we have anything else? Would it be better as a musical? Yes or no?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think so too. Annie isn't really musical,
No.
the parody one, but I think it has good potential to probably be a parody musical, not necessarily a serious musical.
I feel like Qui-Gon is kind of a sort of Valjean type character. He could definitely have some good belting
Yeah.
sort of songs where he's talking about the moral struggles he's having. He's like, I believe in the prophecy so much, but I also want to be a good Jedi.
Yeah.
Oh, but I also want to free the slave, but I don't know if I have the right moral reason for freeing the slave.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I think it could go two ways. It could either be a parody or it could be like a rock opera.
Yeah, because
You
Qui-Gon
know?
has long hair and looks like a rock star.
Yeah, I don't know. You could do some like intense stuff with it.
Yeah.
And its genre is space opera.
Yeah, and
so-
Ewan McGregor can sing, so
Mostly.
boo.
No, he can. He's probably the only one though.
I don't know.
I feel like if Natalie Portman could sing, we would have seen her sing by now. You know?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
So this is the last episode of season 1, so we'll see you back in season 2. We're thinking
Yeah.
that might kick off maybe around Halloween time, like we did with season 1, so we can get some more spooky vibes going on the Popcorn and Cumin podcast. But we'll probably be producing content on the social media channels in the meantime to keep you up to date with keep you up to date with Sarah's war against the people of TikTok because
Yeah.
of her
Help
marshmallow
me,
crusade.
people, you guys.
Yeah, come to Sarah's aid.
Come to my aid. You are free to disagree with us on social media, but do it in a civil, kind manner.
Yeah.
Please.
You have to bring balance to Popcorn and Cumin TikTok.
Yes.
The Sith
Yes.
are overruling it at the moment.
This has made me realize that I can never be famous. Because just these little comments about marshmallows were pissing me off.
Yeah, Sarah doesn't have the... I don't want to say she doesn't have the thick skin required, because would sound like a negative. It's just like I feel like she's takes things to heart, you know, in a way that all people should. Whereas I'm sort of saying, let's inflame the comments more. Let's get them more mad
Look at this.
for the engagement.
As we were talking, 22 seconds ago, comment comes in from someone named N. Ah, yes, being super wasteful.
Yeah, you hiding behind your anonymous profile. Popcorn and Cumin will get you.
Okay, no, we won't. We're not gonna do anything. We're just gonna be annoyed.
Yeah,
But
annoyed by
anyway.
you being annoying. But follow us on that, on the TikTok and on the
Yeah.
Instagram, and come to our aid and help Sarah out in her crusade against pink marshmallows. And
Down with the pink marshmallows.
and there'll be all sorts of other good content. Also, be sure to have a look through our published episode history in case you've missed any of the
Yeah,
good updates that we've had.
definitely. And let me just end with saying, have a nice break. See you next fall.
Wow. Let us know how many bowls of popcorn you eat before our
Yeah.
next episode comes out.
Popcorn. What I was gonna say, I said the wrong thing.
Popcorn.
I said the wrong thing. Don't forget to have your daily bowl of popcorn.
Ooh.